Hi, my name is Megan Libby, and I am on the content team at Sinch. Welcome to Sinch Talks, a new video series for enterprises. Today, we're presenting the journey to hyper-personalization in financial services. I'd like to introduce you to Alejandro Murcia, Director of Global Financial Services at Sinch, who will be our presenter today. Alejandro, over to you.
Thank you, Megan, and very excited to be here with you all. Looking forward to discussing our strategy at Sinch, how we're building the future of the industry and where we want to be driving this journey. So today I want to speak about basically about three key topics. Number one, what are the trends that we are seeing in the industry at the moment? Two, what is it that your customers want? We want to understand how they view the world and how we can provide this to them. Number three, how we can build this together with Sinch. So we worked very closely with Gartner, and we found this quote that is I think it's very interesting and very telling of the transformation we're going at the moment. They surveyed a big group of CIOs and technology executives in the financial services industry. And their expectation is that by the end of 2023, they're going to have around 40% of the revenue coming from digital products and digital services. This is a very big shift, and it's something we had already seen probably prior to COVID, but COVID definitely accelerated the process and took us way, way faster into this shift and this change. There's a couple of trends very connected to this. Number one is the fact that we see customer expectations are increasing every day. I think as users, we work with technology companies. We probably use a lot of the fintechs. And this has created more of an expectation to have a better user experience. We want to engage in an easier way. We want to engage in a more straightforward way with our financial institutions or banks. And traditional institutions need to find a way to do this better than ever. We surveyed at Sinch around 2,900 financial services users globally to understand a little bit more of what they wanted. And there were a couple of very telling data points coming from this study. I think that one of the biggest ones was the fact that people under 40 years old, almost a third of them were willing to change their banks just because they can provide a better digital experience. As we move along and evolve in the world, I think this is the generation that, of course, is going to bring a lot of wealth, and they're going to bring a lot of the revenue coming in the future. And we know how much it matters to have a long-standing relationship with a financial institution. So definitely a lot of impact we can create there. Second trend we're talking about is personalization. And we know we need to be able to speak to the user itself. We know it's not enough to be able to just speak to them in a general way. It's super important for us to deliver a tailored message to them, something that really understands their financial moment. Maybe they're looking at acquiring a new house. Maybe they're looking at updating their car, or in general, there's a couple of things we can think about. And we need to talk about those specific requirements. The third point is communication is key. We need to really deliver and communicate to our users. Let's say a standard notification when they make an expense, or maybe it's a fraud alert, whatever it is, we need to deliver this communication in a timely manner. So it really creates this sense of trust and sense of engagement with the financial institution. And the fourth piece is we talk about a lot of tech tools, but really tech is not enough. We need to understand how to balance the right level of self-service automation, but also providing the right context of the human touch and the ability to deliver on a good experience when we need to escalate things and have the right level of support. What we see at Sinch is we see this as a journey, and there's a couple, we talk about 5 steps here. I would say that potentially step 1 and 2 are the most standard ones. Verification, we need to make sure we comply with this. We need to make sure we have the right rules in place so that there's no issues with fraud. And we need to make sure that we deliver, for example, an OTP in a good, fast way so that we can deliver on converting these transactions. Notifications are the next step. We need to provide this either through SMS, either through notifications. There's different channels, but we need to notify the users of things that are happening. And then we start evolving down this path. The next step is to be able to really speak to our users wherever they are. Many of them, if we're talking about a global footprint, If we think about Asia, there's a lot of penetration of channels that things like Viber, WhatsApp, are super important. In North America, maybe SMS. We talk about Europe, maybe other channels. So we need to understand this. We also need to understand how to engage the different audiences. Then we start really evolving and being able to provide not just the channels themselves, but providing an answer within or providing contextual answers to the users. So if I'm asking about my balance, I want to have the answer as quickly as possible. This is super important. And if we can provide this in an easy manner, it's going to be very impactful for the user. And the end step is really being able to provide a tailored message to that end user. That's really going to be key for us. We talk a lot about conversations at Sinch, and the reason is I think the next step really for banks and financial services providers is to take a step forward and not just engage the user and talk to them in a way with static messages, but it's the ability to provide two-way conversations. It's the ability to have, if we have a fraud alert, me as a user, I would want to have, let's say I'm receiving a message of potential fraud. I would want to see that I have an option to authorize or decline this transaction. If we're paying bills, hopefully that's going to be very smooth. Or even if we're talking about a loan application, that can be quite, let's say, a complex process. I think it would be super good to be able to automate and understand. Maybe I can speak with a conversational AI layer that can be talking about what my payment terms are going to be. What happens if my principal is X, my interest rate is going to be Y, and then potentially my monthly payment terms are going to be Z. So we can really look at creating a more engaging conversation in this space.
Alejandro, just a quick question there. So, I mean, we know that customers might say that they want to use different messaging platforms to communicate with a bank. But I mean, many customers will just opt in to go to the bank and speak with a teller. And how do you know what to give customers what they actually want?
I think it's all about variety. I think it's all about communicating the platform they prefer. Some users may still prefer to go to the branch or may still be willing to talk over the phone and wait for some time to have an agent. But some of us, and I can include myself in that group, I would rather do this on a more automated fashion. I would like to have this over a chat. I would like to really not spend, I really try to optimize my time, I guess, and not having to do this. And maybe I want to, I don't know, I would be willing to acquire a product through Instagram, or I would be want to receive customer service through a different channel. So I think the key message here is let's open up the channels, let's open up the options for the end user, and we can drive this to a better experience. And that's our view at Sinch. We want to support as many channels as possible. We want to support a good way to target all your user base. And if we talk about the Sinch advantage, I think it really is around two key points. Number one, we're a truly global provider. I mean this in two ways. Number one, we have a tier one super network that allows us to deliver messages as quickly and with the best quality possible that you can have. And then if we talk about the wide variety of channels that we have, this means that we can also deliver through all your user base, whether it's an email or we're talking about Viber somewhere in APAC, in Asia. This is going to be something that you can possibly do with us. And then the next piece is future proofing. We're really looking forward at what's next. We want to provide all the options, all the channels so that you can really have a platform that you can work with for the long term and make sure that we have a successful partnership and successful future work together. And that's it from our side today. Really looking forward to speaking with you next. We're going to have a series of videos, including Meta, including a couple of other topics. So really looking forward to meeting you next. And thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you, Alejandro. It was very informative. And we'll link to that CX Bank to the Future report in the description of this video as well. Thanks again.